Yo, what it is, YouTube? It's your boy Nitzy coming back with another bullseye of a tutorial here today on the channel. So I wanted to talk to you guys about how to glue your mix, how to make it sound cohesive, the energy, you know, the unison movement, the harmony. So let's go over this right away. If you guys do have any more comments or questions down below, go ahead and drop it. I'm more than happy to get to it. Let's not waste no time. Let's get to listening to this music. Let's go.
It's all I love. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do. This the last one, girl, I promise you. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood.
All right, guys, so let's go ahead and jump right into these gems today. So the main thing about how to glue your mix and how to make it sound like it's together is a mindset. It's not leading down to one thing. So we're going to go over a couple of those things today. So the most important thing, too, is that pay attention to how I played the whole entire song. I'll let you hear the whole song. As an engineer, you need to hear the whole entire song. You need to get an understanding of like what's the broader picture here, what's the bigger perspective here when it comes to how you pick your reverbs, delays, your EQ and compression. All of that is like you picking a painter. A painter kind of knows that, okay, if I want to paint a tree, I'm going to need the color, you know, green for the leaves. I'm going to need the color brown for like the bark. I'm probably going to need a little bit of blue for the sky. You got to understand these things, like the way you pick these processing things like the reverb, delay, EQ, all of that stuff is painting the overall picture that you want to be cohesive. So that's the thing. As an engineer, I always listen to the whole song. I listen to the music. I let the music talk to me, and the music will make it very obvious to you as to what you got to use to portray the image. So when I think of this image, when you think of this beat, instantly you think of nighttime, you think of the club, you think of like just the nighttime atmosphere. So that was something that was very important for me when it came to something like the ad-libs, okay? So let's look at the ad-libs. I even picked a Valhalla reverb, right? And let's listen to this all by itself, you know? This is like a way that you glue your mix by picking the right things that tonally make sense. So I picked the Valhalla reverb on, you know, this type of color, which is the 1980s. It gives that dark atmosphere, you know? So let's look at that real quick.
Put a 3-5 in the wood. Take a perky or two. I'm good. I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. I take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them with the truth. Chico, you can all night out the.
So that's one of the ways that you can glue your mix together. You know, people always try to say, oh, gluing your mix, all you got to do is take a bus compressor and slap it on your mix, and there you go. There you go. Take some Elmer's glue and slap it on your mix. There you go. Your mix is glued. Congratulations. But that's cap. That is literally cap. It's a whole mindset. You know, even the beat that you pick, the drums and the tone of the drums, they have to match. Because if you got a beat where like the 808 is way too long and it's too active, or like the kick is too long, or the hi-hats is just too sibilant and just too long, and there's nothing you can do about it, well, your mix will never be glued. Because it's like trying to, you know, make a car, right? And then you stole a tire off of like some truck, and then you stole like a windshield off of like some freaking sedan, and then you stole like like some seats out of a Ferrari. Well, you're gonna have a car that isn't very cohesive. It's just gonna be a bunch of parts together, and that's what you don't want your music to sound like, just a bunch of parts. So how you pick your 2-track beat, the sounds you pick as well, that's the real glue of your mix. The glue is you. Like, you are the glue. Your ear, how you put stuff together is the freaking glue. It has nothing to do with a bus compressor, okay? And then also you gotta understand too, like the timing of the reverb as well was important. So something else that helped me glue this mix was the sidechain compressor I used. So with this, you know, I ran through the release times and I listened to how my release is like bumping and grooving with the ad-libs, right? How the reverb for the hall and everything like that with ad-libs is bumping and grooving. Just listen to the space in between the words.
My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap, I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you. Got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't no got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. Got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands.
Come on. That makes you just want to bop your head. That little space in between the synergy between the sidechain compressor and you know, I actually have the sidechain compressor on all of the effects, you know. So this is how I have my bus set up. Like all my reverb and delay, they're all going there. Sometimes what I'll do, if I want it to be an independent thing, I'll not send it there. I'll send it directly to the mix bus. But that's another way to glue your mix together, is sidechain compression of the effects, you know. So you hear that push and pull between the ad-libs. You know, when the sidechain compressor was not there, it just sounds like the reverb was just too long. So I wanted that big reverb to give that dimension, that vibe, that atmosphere, which is gluing my mix, you know, the Valhalla and everything like that dark reverb. But then I still wanted to move and bump and groove. So that's something that you have to understand too, you know, playing around with the release time on the sidechain compressor. And, you know, let's go over some ways that you could actually glue your mix using the bus compression. I want to go in depth a little bit more about bus compression, you know. So, you know, let's go ahead and audition, you know, these bus compressors. The first thing right here is kind of like tonality. You know, how is the music being rounded off? Like, is it getting brighter or darker? Or like, how is that, you know, kind of changing like the contrast and the tint of the whole music? You know what I mean? So sometimes when you put on a bus compressor, yeah, it might be tightening up the whole mix, but what's happening is that you're kind of losing like the how can I say, like you're putting a filter. It's like you're putting a Snapchat filter over the whole mix. Now it's kind of like you're changing like the way it's being portrayed. So let's look at this real quick.
Got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gonna have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do. It's all love. It's all love. What? Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believing me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know that.
So you can hear that something like the SSL-G bus compressor, it makes the whole mix sound very warm, very warm. You know what I mean? So, and the most important thing that you got to pay attention to when it comes to bus compressor is the 808. Like sometimes, I'm going to show you an example where even though the compression sounds right, the actual like input circuit of the compressor will literally kill the 808. It will change the 808. It'll saturate the 808. You'll start to hear different stuff. So that's important. You know, if I was to use the SSL-G comp, I'm understanding that, okay, this is going to make my whole mix warm. It sounds a little bit more smoother, but I feel like it's losing a little bit of fidelity. So usually, you know, a general rule of thumb is that you kind of want it to be a slow attack and a fast release, just because you want to keep all of your transients, all of the punch and everything like that, while also, you know, just really, you know, tightening up the whole thing. You hear the 808 wasn't as loose booty when I brought in that. So, you know, I feel like that one kind of isn't appropriate because it's a little bit too smooth. You know, the rapper's being smooth, the reverb and delays is already smooth, so that's kind of redundant for me to use that. So you got to think like that when it comes to trying to glue your mix together. Okay, like I already have all of these ingredients, but what last seasoning do I need to put in there to take this soup over the top? You know what I mean? Like, okay, I already got the carrots, I already got the main flavors in there, but what little bit of salt and pepper, that last little dash, do I need to have everything sound like a completed dish, you know, a completed song? So let's bring in something like the API 2500. I like the API 2500 as well because, you know, you got to understand that when it comes to gluing your mix, the features of the bus compressor, I like the API 2500 because it has this unlink mode, and my ad-libs are kind of wobbly. They're on both sides and everything like that. So I like that too because that's also gluing my mix. It's keeping the same vibe of the wobbliness. This all see, like, listen to the music. It will tell you that, okay, you got to make the ad-libs loud on one side or have the delay be ping-pongy and weird and, you know, a little flanger oscillating everywhere like that. So yeah, let's look at this API 2500. So the ratio is pretty important too. The ratio is like how dense the compression is going to be. Usually with mixed bus compression, unless you want to actually have the compression become very audible, you would go with the higher ratio because that will make the compression more dense. It will work more on the peak energy. But with a lower ratio, you're actually getting to put more of your hand inside of the cookie jar, more of your foot inside of the swimming pool. That's what a lower ratio does. So it works on more of the sound. You can see sometimes that, you know, with a higher ratio, maybe only the 808 is triggering the bus compressor. But with a lower ratio, you might see that something like the sub bass and stuff like that might start triggering the bus compressor.
The drug is all love. Hey, baby, give me a hug. On drug, on drug. Yeah, it's all love. It's all love. What? Hey, yeah. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but a lot it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, cause regardless I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gon' have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do. This the last one, girl, I promise you. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Bet don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe.
So I feel like something with the API 2500, it's pretty good. It sounds a little bit more modern. I feel like it's a little bit more appropriate for this type of song, especially because of the way it squeezes the mid-range. Like when that 808 and the vocal hits together, you kind of hear like it gets a little bit smeared. But with something like this bus compressor, just due to the fact that the 808 is usually what's going to be triggering the bus compressor because that's just where most of the energy is at, the 808, you know what I mean? Usually just because the fact that the 808 is triggering the bus compressor, you can use a sidechain compressor that maybe has like, you know, a different sidechain on it and stuff like that. So maybe you want to do something like that. The API has that in there, you know, if you want to thrust the mix a little bit more, you want to use medium, it will kind of like avoid the low end a little bit, kind of giving you a little bit more clean compression, or with the louder, it will give you a more aggressive compression. But I like something like the API 2500 because it just sounds so modern, and you just hear that it really pulls everything forward. You know, sometimes what I'll do is I'll undermix my vocal, you know, just like how some people will undercook a chicken, you know, like they will undercook it on purpose. Like they will like maybe just like bake it before they actually put it on the real grill. It's something like that too, you know what I mean? Where I might make my vocals low as hell because I know when I bring in that bus compressor, what's gonna happen is the whole mid-range is gonna get pulled forward and the vocal is gonna get like louder. It's gonna get pushed even further. So that's sometimes you gotta be like methodical about that stuff. because with like the API 2500, you also have the knees as well, and depending on how hard the knee is gonna affect the tonality of the music. If you want it to be hard, hard knee is like getting a straight up buzz cut, a straight up fade at the barber, but a soft knee is more like getting like a regular kind of like a just regular lineup, not doing too much, getting like a 3 on the sides or whatever like that. I'm not a barber, I'm an engineer, so I can't really tell you. But let me show you how actually, the input of a compressor can be inappropriate for a song. So let's listen to how the 808 will change. So this is what comes back to gluing your mix, picking the appropriate tools, picking the appropriate ingredients for the dish. Listen to how the 808 will like completely change a little bit, because there's more saturation coming from something like the Fairchild.
Look, it's all love. It's all love. What? Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams. Yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understand.
Oh, I really don't like that bus compressor. That's what you gotta understand about bus compressors sometimes. Like, the 808 is the main priority when it comes to rap music with the 2-track beat. Now, if you got the whole multi-track stem, then you can use whatever you want, because you can still go back there and change that 808 around and everything like that. But the main thing is listen to how that basketball frequency starts to come out. Woo, woo, woo. Like when you take a basketball and you dribble it, like that's the frequency you start to hear more with the 808, and it just literally sounds annoying. It kills the vibe of the music. So that would make the song sound way less cohesive. That's not really gluing the mix together. That doesn't sound appropriate. Listen again.
I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true.
Yeah, it just ruins the vibe of the music. I'm not gonna lie. All right, then the last things that I want to show you right here is how you can use like a basic, R compressor. And the main thing is that, when it comes to bus compressors, don't ever get fazed by like what other people are using. I see other people are always trying to pollute people's minds and stuff like that. It is what it is. But the main thing too is that you can even use something like an R comp, understanding like one is the behavior of the compressors. So that's what I want to talk about. Like an optical, compressor is kind of like thinking about compressors with slower behavior, like a Fairchild and everything like that. But then you have the electro mode, which is a little bit more responsive. So the responsiveness of a compressor is very important for the bus compressor. So let's listen to even something like the R comp can sound fire on the mix bus if you do it the right way. So it's all about the settings, understanding the behavior, understanding the attack and the release and all that stuff like that, and how much gain reduction you're doing as well. So let's look.
I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me. I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back. I got a baddie on my lap. I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless on the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gon' have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies do. This the last one, girl, I promise you. Put a 3-5 in the wood. Week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap, I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man. I just hope she understands.
So as you can hear the difference between electro and optical, it kind of changes the whole way the music is speaking to you. With the electro, it releases quickly, it moves, it brings that sense of urgency, which actually kind of fits the song, I'm not gonna lie. Just because of the activity of the 808, boom, boom, boom. The 808 is kind of quick. So, you know, when I had it on opto, it kind of sounds like it was holding the 808 back a little bit like that. So that's very interesting to see. Even something like the R comp, you know, and understanding the responsiveness of a bus compressor is pretty interesting. Not a lot of people use the R comp on the bus, but it can sound great. And the last thing I want to talk about is kind of like controlling the whole mix using bus compression. So with the bus compression as well, you know, bringing in that cohesiveness. Sometimes you might have a 2-track beat where, you know, literally it's just not leveled the right way. You might want to use something like a multiband. The stereo, the preset I use, I mean, you can try to tweak it, but every song is different. Every tempo is different. You know, I use the stereo bus preset and just listen to how, you know, this is more like a thing where it's handling things individually. Like if I had some brash hi-hats and some, you know, some claps, I could isolate that using something like a multiband. Or if I had an 808 that was just too active with too much energy, I could really start to control that with a multiband.
Boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gonna do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap, I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gon' have time for you, but you know I'm the one for you. You got me feeling like them perkies. Week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Put a 3-5 in the wood, might take a perky or two. Babe, don't be worried about me, I'm good. I'm getting that bread as I should. I'ma just follow my dreams, yeah. Every week I'm in the stool. I know they ain't believe in me, but I'ma show them we the truth. Geeking all night out the boot. My girl telling me it ain't cute, but she know I'm gon' do what I do. Said I changed, but I lied, it ain't true. I got a monkey on my back, I got a baddie on my lap, I got a perky in my pocket. When she ain't looking, I'ma pop it. She gon' love me as I am, co-regardless, I'm the man. I just hope she understands. I'm on a mission to the bands. I ain't always gon' have time.
So just pay attention to those high mids, how like it's just really working on that high mids for the hi-hat to keeping everything in check. The C4 on the mix bus actually is a huge game, a huge gem. But usually when it comes to the mix bus processing, I'm gonna keep it real. I only do it at the end. Like I mix my song regularly, then you know this is more like an enhancement thing. Some people like to mix into it, but me personally, I like to just use that as in the end, like just really tidying up the mix and everything like that. So it's like I already have a good dish, but I'm just making it better. You know, I'm just getting it over the finish line. So, you know, it can control the 808. If you have an 808 that has too much bass, rather than the, you know, you have two options. You could use like a static EQ and maybe do like a roll off at 20 hertz, just in case if you got too much sub, or you can use a multiband on the mastering. But I would tell you guys to just be very precautious with everything. Take it by situation. But I just wanted to show y'all guys a bunch of different gems today, how, you know, mix bus compression is an entire mindset. You know, it's everything that you do. You know what I mean? It's not just one thing that is leading to, you know, it's going to make or break your song. It's an entire mindset. You know, the ad libs you pick, the effects. You even hear like on this little part right here, this little breakdown, I have a flanger as well, but that flanger matches the vibe of the song so perfectly. So it's the effects that you use, the way you EQ and you compress. It's a whole, you know, way that you pick your beat, you know, the way that you pick the compressor, the mix bus compressor, and the responsiveness. You know, is it a vintage one? Is it an old one? Does it release quickly or you know, fast? You know what I mean? Or quickly or slow. So that's pretty much the end of the video today. I just want to say thanks a lot for being a great part of my YouTube family. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.